So Blake is going to share something with you called Cool Effect. It's a great nonprofit which is using carbon offsets to make our world a little cooler. Everyone put it together for Blake.
There we go. So as Ravi said, I am a Dickinson alumni. I graduated class of 2013. It's awesome to be back. And first off, let me just start by saying, as an alumni, and alumni specifically in climate change, having Dickinson go carbon neutral by the end of this academic year, it makes me incredibly proud. And it's a special thing to be part of. And so I'm here to talk about Cool Effect. Yeah, give it up for Dickinson. So I'm here to give you the story about Cool Effect and carbon credits. And Cool Effect's story doesn't begin with Cool Effect. It actually begins when my family moved here in the early 2000s. We just moved to the US and we wanted to get involved doing more. And so we got connected with a group based out of Baltimore. And we were down in Honduras, specifically my dad and my sister, translating for doctors in rural Honduras at a medical clinic. During that time translating for the doctors, my sister discovered a trend. A lot of the women and children as young as babies were coming in with major respiratory problems, and we weren't able to figure out what was going on until my sister was invited into one of the homes of the people there. She walked into the house and was immediately hit by a plume of smoke and soot. She walked into the house with the ceiling completely black, the walls black, and a stove just spewing smoke out. And there was the woman managing the stove, and there was the kids next to her. And these kids and these women were just breathing in this smoke every day. That was when we decided to really make a difference. We designed and developed a new fuel-efficient stove. And to date, we've built over 200,000 of these stoves in rural Honduras. It's really made a positive impact. If you're wondering, that's my sister, age 14, I believe. And none of this would have been possible without the carbon market and carbon credits. Well, what is a carbon credit? Carbon credits compensate, counter, and offset the impacts of greenhouse gases. They're measured in metric tons of carbon dioxide, or MTCO2e, so metric tons of carbon CO2. It includes a basket of global warming gases, everything from methane to nitrous oxide, which is 200 times worse than carbon dioxide. And for each metric ton emitted, carbon credits fund activities to prevent, reduce, or capture a ton from being emitted somewhere else. Now, carbon credits aren't just given out to everybody. They need to be verified, and they're done by a lot of international standards. Here's a couple. Gold Standard and VCS are just a couple of them. But projects that have been issued credits need to provide documentation that allows the buyer to be sure that an actual ton of carbon is being reduced. Well, who's Cool Effect? Well, we're here to advise you on how to lower your footprint. That's our first goal. Our second is advising you on offsetting the rest with the highest quality carbon and credits available. So we built a platform. The platform goes out and finds all the best carbon projects we can and brings them to a space where when an individual, a business, or a university can really know that their dollar is making a difference. We're a community of over 500,000 people that have committed to offsetting. And we've already, this year, offset 1 million tons of carbon since our inception. And from August 22nd, when we hit that goal, to today, we've offset another 250,000 tons of carbon dioxide. Now, for everyone who can't really understand that, that is a lot. And we are incredibly proud of it. Oh, and let me go back to this. What you're seeing here is a special filter on a camera. That blue fire that's coming out, that's carbon pollution. And it's not visible to the naked eye. And so we worked with a group to bring it to life, really visualize it so you understand. So at Cool Effect, we want to go a step further. environmental integrity and scientific audit and due diligence beyond requirements by carbon standards. We conduct financial review of the project. Where does the money go? And we look at the management structure. Who is in charge of these projects? Do they have the goals aligned with the project's mission? We conduct site visits. This is me and one of our scientists in Myanmar that's planting mangrove trees. It was one of the most incredible trips of my life, as you can see. I mean, it was a beautiful area. With the reforestation of the mangrove plant, they've seen increase with both the biodiversity as well as animals such as elephants coming back to the area that have since abandoned it. We bring back stories from the community, the individuals I meet and spoke with, and for everyone who's donating to Cool Effect to support these projects, they want to know what's going on. Now, the other major pillar of Cool Effect is transparency. We're not doing this to make money. We're a nonprofit. We're doing this because we understand climate change is a real problem. For every 90% of every dollar goes to the projects. Both the buyer and the seller know the price paid per ton and the entire commission received by Cool Effect. Our goal is to help the projects gain the funding that they need to grow and reduce more carbon. Here are just a couple of our projects. Right now, we have over 16 projects, and we're always adding some and taking them away if they do not fulfill what we're looking for. We're really making sure that the buyer has confidence in us and in the project that is really making a difference. Now, since we're on a campus, students, you have a footprint too. It's not big, but you still do. For me, it was flying across the country to go home during breaks. I'm from San Francisco, so every year I'd have to fly back and forth. And I hit premier status at United, so I was flying quite a lot. The average emissions for students is about 5 tons of CO2 annually. About 2,500 miles flown, 6,000 miles driven, or in your tiny little dorm room, that has a footprint as well. So what can you do as students? Well, it's pretty easy. Bike to work, or bike to your classes, or walk to your classes. At Dickinson, it's pretty easy. We have a small campus. I used to live in Goodyear. I'd walk all the way down to to the academic quad. When you're leaving for class, make sure to unplug or turn off your lamps or unplug your computers. When you're going to the cafeteria, as everyone said, don't overload your plate. No food waste. And stop using fast fashion. Now, when I was on the Dickinson basketball team, as fundraising, we'd sell t-shirts. I can tell you right now, I don't own a single one of those t-shirts anymore. I don't know where they went, but that has an emission too. Now, for the universities in the audience. Did you know that universities account for about 2% of total annual US global greenhouse gas emissions? It's about 52,000 tons of CO2 annually. So when you're figuring out and you're taking this step to go carbon neutral, the first thing you need to do is you need to figure out where your emissions are coming from. This is scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions. This will come from electricity, natural gas usage in buildings, vehicles, business travel, meals served in dining hall, and waste amount to other things. Now, carbon credits aren't going to solve all your issues. As Dickinson has done, they've made other efforts to reduce their waste first, and then they're offsetting the rest of their footprint with carbon credits. All of these things and more go into reducing your emission factor, whether it's LEED certified buildings, reducing your food waste, eliminating one-use plastics, setting up recycling programs, using alternative energy. This is all something we can do right now to make an immediate impact. And for any of the parents out there or anyone listening, call your local provider. Switch over to alternative energy. Everyone has it, and you can get us off coal faster. But, like I said, carbon credits do have a role. And it's not going to solve everything, but there are some emissions that you can't get rid of. So you need to figure out how to advise on a project. Which project should you pick? These are a couple things that you really need to understand and ask whoever you are buying these carbon credits from. Are they pooled offsets, or are you supporting a specific project? Who verified the project? Was it one of the ones of the international standard that I mentioned earlier, or were they other ones? Are there social benefits? Is the project additional? And is the project even still running? Some projects are selling credits that they are no longer having the project continue. So where is that money going? And is the seller transparent? Do you know the price per ton that you are paying for? And finally, where does the money go? Really having an immediate impact. Look, this is, when we first started off today, people talked about what word would you describe climate change? And a lot of it was hopeless and almost a sense of defeated. Look, we're not done. We have a lot that we can do. And if we all have an immediate impact, we can make a difference. Thank you.